Alright, welcome back to the semifinals of the safety nets. Spawning here in the southern location, he leads the series 2-0 and he's one win away. But this is the comeback map. So let's see if he can close it out. It's Acer's Nerchio.
The top position as the red Protoss, it's Fnatic's Harstem. And it's only been the comeback map for Terran so far.
You know what, you are right about that, but for those who missed our round of 8 matches, we had a lot of kind of one-sided series similar to this, and then we had Xenocider and Cross churning around on Van Eye. Not sure if that'll happen here for Harstem or not, but this kills me, man. I mean, I like Nerchio and all, and I've got nothing against him being up 2-0, don't get me wrong, but definitely a little bit surprising to see Harstem be down like this.
Yeah. I mean, I talked about the stats when we first started out this series, but I didn't mean it like, oh my god, Nerchio's so much better. Like, maybe he did take it, 3-2, just like the other versus Protoss games that he had, but it's actually 3-0 Harstem, that would be impressive. But then if he keeps doing this style that he is, and Harstem doesn't seem to enjoy it that much in the lobby, by the way, my only thought would be like, okay, Harstem has trouble dealing with it, he still has trouble dealing with it. Maybe you do go for the all-in simply because you can't figure out how to deal with the late game, the macro game. Well,
my concern for this lies in the fact that everyone's kind of predicting the Lilbo Nerchio finals, right? I want that to be wrong. Like I don't know what it is. I'm the rebellious, Viva la Revolution type guy where it's like, oh, if everyone's saying one thing, I absolutely hope for the other, no matter how unfeasible it might be.
So Harstem State?
Yeah, man. Gotta be that PvP finals. Actually, curiously enough, it would have been cool to see in another PvP finals with Lilbo, because if you guys remember, last time we had a PvP finals, there's actually Lilbo versus Mana, and that went to the ace match in a pretty entertaining manner, I gotta say, for PvP especially. But that's getting a little ahead of ourselves. We gotta see if Harstem can even bring this back, because at this rate, it's gonna be a PvP third place match, not the finals.
Yes, as it is. Again, I am worried for Harstem, so I'm kind of feeling, unless Van Eye can work magic with other races besides Terran, now Harstem's just gonna, I don't know, fumble towards the late game again.
You say fumble. Oh, well, this isn't good with the links, but let me ask you thoughts. Oh, he's on top of the pylon.
Speaking of fumbling.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, Harstem hasn't really been putting on aggression through this. Like, we saw him sort of move out last game and do a little bit of, like, small gateway aggression. I would really love to see him go ham. Pull out the Red Hates the World build where, one gas fast expansion to, like, a 7-gate attack all in. I mean, it's a little too late for now in Game 3 when you're on your last life, maybe, but just letting Nerchio get away, letting Nerchio get to 50 drones without any sweat, I just feel is the biggest detriment for Harstem. He's not putting on that proper pressure that we see out of some Protoss players. And again, that's not a bad thing because his macro game is his strength, but it's just not working out for him so far.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we have a Robo, so he's already changing it up a little bit. In the first game, he went for that 4-gate 1 Gavs, not the case here. In the second game, he went for a regular old Blink opener, I believe, through Forge Fast Expand. And now it's going to be, well, a Robo opener, so we'll see if that means anything.
Alright, let me ask you this. Assuming at some point Nerchio makes 8 to 10 Mutalisks throughout the series, maybe it's early, maybe it's later, do you think Harstem this game has cannons down at any point?
No.
I feel like it's so easy to look at this and say something snarky like, oh, you should just put down static D. There's a lot of reasons you wouldn't want to do it, right? Cannons aren't as good as spore crawlers at killing mutas. They can't be repaired like turrets can. They can get picked off pretty quickly. But I do feel like the one thing they would give Harstem is that extra 5 to 10 seconds he's really needed to respond to these attacks.
Maybe. Because in the first game on Secret Spring, he did have at least 2 cannons, I think, because he was afraid of Burrow. And they didn't seem to help out that much. Like, the one position he didn't have cannons was the one that Nerchio kept attacking. But it does look to be an Immortal Sentry all-in. I was also wondering if it was like, you see a Robo like that, and that's probably your first thought. But we see people like Desro, and there's someone else that I forget very recently, that play just with Robo openers. So basically, they're very defensive, but they're like a strong defense, which against like the Roach attacks, Roachling attacks. But obviously, an even further lack of aggression with that type of style. But it does look like it's being chronoed out, and they're going to be Warp Prism.
I don't know how I feel about this though, because What Harstem's done is he's put a little more emphasis on the Immortals and the Sentries, and that's not a bad thing, but it is the Sentries that make Immortal Sentry so strong, and on a big map with a lot of wide open engagement areas, every force field, you're going to need like extra 3 force fields compared to a map like Overgrowth.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna bring up. Like, you know, these all-ins, and most all-ins from Protoss, you depend heavily on the force fields, just aren't gonna feel so great on this map unless you get lucky, unless you you kind of run straight towards the only good positions, and they fall into the trap of taking that position too. Because Nerchio doesn't have to necessarily. You can just wait for Harstem to come into the concave.
Well, 7 gates gonna be the choice, and Nerchio does have a lot of roaches. I don't quite know if this is going to go well or not. I feel like the immortal damage is enough to tango with the roaches, sure, but how does Harstem take the engagement? I mean, Nerchio's already trying to get on top of the pylons. Smart move out of him, but there's a warp prism on the way, so Harstem's not going to be so pylon dependent. I guess one of the cool things is he could force field off that main ramp. Again, the use of just cutting out 2 whole hatcheries, 2 bases worth of reinforcements. But getting to that point where you could safely push in like that is a lot easier said than done.
Oh. I love that he chose not to throw the Hydra's Den down at the 3rd. It was going to, and he's like, oh, maybe not.
Yeah, so I can't. Gonna get on top of this pretty quickly, though. I don't know. Recall right away might just be his best bet.
Yep. Oh my god.
We save?
Oh,
okay, he saves a couple of sentries. That's good. Losing 2 stalkers is negligible. Actually, drops the probe. Yeah, so I can pick up the 2nd stalker. That's a good move. That's a good move.
But this is already bad, guys. You just don't want to recall out of an Immortal Sentry all in. He's going up to Hydra. He's going to Aspire.
Yeah. And this is the problem. Like in the previous series, we've already seen problems dealing with Mutalisks when you have an apt amount of Blink Stalkers. This time around, it's even worse. He doesn't have any. Well, he's got like 2 that he saved, but mostly sentries for anti-air, and that's not going to cut it.
Yeah. Looks like Nerchio is going to go ahead and wait for those mutas too. The Hydra's Den is done, so he could have swelled with that, but nothing's on the production tab yet.
You know what I hate about Mutalisks? Their unit has like there's a lot of things in StarCraft 2 designed to counter them, but it feels like nothing that's designed to counter them actually counters them. Like you think about a Thor, you think about like a Phoenix, like there's ways to get around that so easily. You know, build a couple corruptors, just spread the muta. It's just hate that unit, man.
I love that unit.
Well, when I'm Zerg, I also love that unit. Yes, yeah. It's like, of course, Harstem's point of view.
Oh, looks like waiting for the mutas is not going to work out as another attack is on the way. So he just gets 16 Hydras. He's been banking up money waiting for the Spire, and Harstem pushing out is no big deal for him.
This for Harstem is a really important timing though, because this is his opportunity to get in here and deal some damage. And because there's no mutas, that means there's no counterattack going on, which him being on 2 bases for this all in is not something he can sustain taking any probe damage while this happens. But force fields on the left are a little bit necessary, a little bit late to the party, but he doesn't lose too much for it. Shreds the roaches though.
Nice. Getting rid of the fodder of the Hydralisk, but more units are on the way. In fact, the Invitation Pit as well. Not sure if he's going to try to get to Fungals or just the next step, which would probably be Hive. But suddenly this army looks a lot smaller, and we don't have that double-pronged attack. He does run into a concave, though, so a lot of force fields are going to have to be used.
This is just that army value starting to pay off. The problem for Harstem, though, is he is starting to run out of sentries. The energies pardon me, force fields. The energy on the sentries getting low. Some of the sentries themselves getting picked off 1 or 2 at a time. Nerchio's actually playing this quite well with his hit and run tactics, not getting too many units caught on the wrong side of these force fields.
Yeah, it's still very close. The army supply is very, very close, but the force field energy has been is the most important. And with the place that he's attacking, there's just no easy force fields.
Now this positioning looks better because you got that area, but then he just swoops in from the right as we see. Again, all these new maps are so good for Zerg. Not broken, but good. There's all these open engagement areas make it really hard to get these force fields down. Harstem has to spend so freaking many. Right side gets flanked. The Immortals got to get involved in the fight. They're fighting Hydras. They need to be shooting those roaches. Kind of the Stalkers are in the wrong position. If they can just swap somehow, it'd be much better. But Harstem is going to warp directly on the front line. The Warp Prism's getting focused by Nerchio. That's his reinforcement point now gone. There's a pylon back here, but it's much further back. And the Hydras have concaved. And I think, Zombie Grub, this is it.
That's a 3-0. GG.
Well played. All right, sad to see Harstem fall, but he's got